Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of a Star Wars Alliance podcast, your home on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Podcast Network for any and all things Star Wars. Oh, I did that in one breath, y'all. Oh my gosh. Okay, joining me today, as he has been, is Clay, co-host. Clay, how are you doing today?
I am doing pretty good. Today has been a little bit of a drag as far as the weather. It's been a little bit of a colder day, which is
Oh, I
nice.
love it.
But the only bad thing is that I usually take my dog out. I usually take Flynn out for like a good hour and a half right after work, and because it's raining, I'm just like, I don't want to give you a bath immediately after. So you're staying inside today. So other than
Yeah.
that, you know, not too bad. Not at all.
See, I'm lazy. I don't. The most we do is we wipe off the dog's paws. So again, lazy.
You know, I haven't really gotten him like muddy yet, so I'm like
Mm-hmm.
dreading the day that like he comes home and it's just completely just disgusting, and I'm just like, yeah, no, I want to stop it right before it can even happen. So I'm just like, nope, you're gonna be an inside dog today. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've seen like people in apartments who have like the grass patch in like their patio area. And they're
Yeah.
just like, yeah, you go on this. I'm like,
That's
that's really
that's
smart.
I actually have that on, especially since I'm on the second floor.
Yeah.
If like there's a late night where he's like, "Hey, I got to go outside." I'm like, "Cool, you can go on the balcony." And then I
Yes.
just open the door and let him go. But today and like recently he's been socializing with other dogs. So he's like, "Hey,
Ooh.
when can I go play? When can I go play?" And yeah, nobody's outside right now. It is drenching and gross and muddy and disgusting. So, but I'm excited to talk some Star Wars.
Yes, we have a lot of cool things to talk about. We have to talk about the Book Boba Fett trailer. And I'm going to be honest, I was only able to watch it with crappy signal at work. So I'm going to put it on and we're going to share it and we're just going to talk about it over it because I need to watch it like for real, instead of like sneaking watching it at work. So that's what we're going to do with that. We've also got some High Republic Volume 1 goodness, Marvel edition, because
Yes, we do.
IDW is still delayed. So, yeah.
Yes, sad
Um,
news.
but before we get into the juicy goodness with news, Book of Boba Fett, Disney Plus Day predictions. We got to talk about the podcast paperwork side of things. So first things first. Again, Star Wars Alliance is a part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance podcast network, and we have shows mostly 7 days a week. On Sundays, you've got Slice of Film with me, and then on Mondays, 1 week, you've got Ranger Alliance with Clay, Jake,
Yes.
Josh, yeah, Jake. I'm sorry, Jake. I'm terrible. Jake, Joe, and Tony. And then the opposite week, you've got Chris with World's Finest True Believers. On Monday nights, you also have DC Alliance going live on the Geekverse YouTube channel with Clay again and Travis. On Tuesdays, DC Alliance drops into podcast feeds everywhere. Um, Wednesdays, you've got superhero discussions with Travis. And then Wednesday nights, which is where we're here right now, you've got me and Clay for Star Wars Alliance, which drops into podcast feeds on Thursdays. Marvel Alliance does its live broadcast on Thursdays as well. Typically, we'll talk about that in a second. And that's with Brent and Chris, and that drops into podcast feeds on Fridays. And then you've got a walk through the multiverse every other week on Saturdays with Joe. And this week for Marvel Alliance, they are doing the Eternals review on Friday night. So they will not be going live tomorrow. Tomorrow. So make sure you check that out. That will drop into podcast feeds this weekend. So you can go check that out. Um, Star Wars Alliance is Star Wars Alliance and the Geek Ultimate Alliance podcast network is currently sponsored by Manscaped for the next 2 weeks. So if you'd like to get 20% off your order and free shipping, use code GUAPOD at checkout. Save you some cash and help support the network. We really appreciate it. It's what helps keep Obi-Wan Kenobi's beard so glorious. So
Yes, yes, indeed. Now, real quick,
uh-huh.
since we did all the plugs, yes, we do have a Patreon and everything else. Yes, of course. Chris just dropped some news in the GUA chat. If we want to talk about it very, very quickly, it's non-news, but it's still news.
What is it? Okay, I missed this. I had to restart my PC, so I'm a little behind on my
So
tab openings.
it says here the lead character in the upcoming Star Wars series Acolyte of Sabine Wren has reportedly been casted. Uh, Tati Gabrielle was rumored to be in the lead for the role. So it's not confirming anything as far as like who it is, but just saying, hey, we should probably be seeing a casting sometime soon. If not, if that news is already coming out now, I assume maybe a Disney Plus day? Maybe?
Are you ready for me to call bullshit?
Oh, really? You think it's gonna be bullshit?
Well, because I don't think it's bullshit, but it's kind of a joking bullshit. Because Tati Gabrielle has been rumored for quite a while to be in the top runners for Sabine Wren. However, this tweet says acolyte, and this is for Ahsoka.
That is true. Hold on. I did not even put the two together. That's weird. Why would she be in
She's
Acolyte?
not, because she's approximately 2025, somewhere in that range in Rebels, and Acolyte takes place approximately 50 years before the Phantom Menace. So
Huh.
she's not an Acolyte. It's
Yeah, no,
probably a
no.
typo. I just thought it was a funny bullshit.
That's funny. Yeah, it probably is a typo. But also, Ahsoka will
And we have
reportedly,
Ahsoka, 8
yeah.
episodes.
And Dave Filoni is set to direct at least one. Is this? I mean, I guess this is an anthology of directors. It's the formula that they've been doing with all of the Mandalorian stuff. So, I mean, if
Well,
it
and it's
if it ain't if it
traditional.
ain't broken, don't fix it.
Yeah, and having different directors is traditional for TV shows. So I'm not too concerned about that. I haven't liked what he's directed so far in live action, but I know he's writing the show as a whole.
Yeah,
So at the very least, there's that. And I mean, he's directed an episode in every previous season of Mandalorian. So as much as I didn't want him to direct an episode, it was expected. So it doesn't hurt too much. And both of the sources on those are Daniel RPK, who's pretty reliable in what his sources are. So
yeah. I wonder if I mean it is giving credit to his old account. So if he gets because he was getting in trouble with that account apparently, and he said he had one or two strikes left on that account, or it will get suspended. Which is why he's been making other accounts. But I want so I guess we're just jumping into the news also.
yes, let's just
Um
jump into news.
Before we jump in the news, I just want to remind everybody instead of reminding them at the end of the show, um, there is going to be a little Geekverse live
Yes.
stream going on for charity. The charity stream is going on this Saturday, November 6th. It's going to be a 24-hour stream, of course, for the kids. I don't remember the stretch goal. I believe it is
I
5K.
think their initial goal is 2,500, and I think it was 5. I want to say
Yeah,
so.
they wanna reach as far as, or if possible, 5K. So 2,500 going into 5K. I know that Taylor's head is on the line. He's desperately wanting to haircut anyway, so let's go ahead and make him shave it off. Use that great lawnmower 4.0 over from Manscaped and just shave all of his head. So there is that, and then also tonight, if you're watching live or if you're listening, make sure to be subscribed to the YouTube channel and or podcast as well. I am going to be guesting on tonight's newscast. I'm going to talk some crap to Travis to his face. so that way he knows that I'm going to win on Saturday. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some other stuff. But yeah, let's jump into more of this news.
Before you continue, I did just want to say there is a group of Star Wars fans who are doing a podathon as well on Saturday. It's called Podathon 2021. And it's got some really cool prizes for they're doing like a raffle with some pictures by Dave Filoni. I will try and find the link. And I'll mention it if I find it while I'm searching, but I will also drop it down in the description box below because there's so many podcasts involved, like Star Wars Explained. I think it's Around the Galaxy, I want to say.
Yeah, so if you go to Twitter and just search Podathon, it is the Podathon. That is their Twitter handle. I just searched it.
Yes.
I had never heard of these people. I'm going to go ahead and follow them now. They are benefiting Make-A-Wish as well. Probably doing the same kind of charity type stream. So, you can drop in on both. So that will be fun.
So they're giving away an autographed collection of Claudia Gray books, some Lucasfilm memorabilia, GameStop exclusive deluxe Boba Fett, Funko, a full run of War of the Bounty Hunters comic book series variant covers, an autographed Clone Wars anthology book with Dave Filoni and Ian Convery on there, and then a rare limited Bo-Katan sketch autographed by Dave Filoni. So that's just some of the stuff they're doing. So make sure you go check those out. Yeah.
So speaking of books, because there is a lot of books over there that is going to be the rewards, or like you said, their giveaways. I shared with the GUA these nice, very nice,
you beat me to it.
third wave covers for these books. They look amazing. I'm really glad that the Del Rey books, Star Wars books on Twitter actually gave credit to the artist at the very bottom of these. Of course, the third wave is Kenobi, Darth Plagueis, Wedge's Gamble, and of course, the third Dynasty of Evil, which is the third book of the Darth Bane trilogy.
Yes, and honestly, at this point, I'm just gonna have to get over the publishing or the printing issue because it's nothing to do with the publishing company. Del Rey is amazing. They've done a lot of really good stuff, and obviously they keep giving us glorious books, so I really appreciate them. But the printing on these, again, I've said it every time these come up, it's not great. It's not great at all. But these covers are just so good.
I really like that Darth Plagueis one. It looks
it's
so
got
good.
Palpatine and it's got Plagueis like hovering behind him because he's a moon. I think I said that right. He's a moon. So he's got like the thinner face, and that's what a lot of people have said. What's his face? Oh my gosh. The guy who dies in Last Jedi, the guy who gets split in half. What's his name?
Oh, Snoke?
Yes, Snoke. That's what a lot of people have said Snoke is that he's a moon because his face is more elongated. But I also think that's just like scarring and like cloning tubes. So but yes, really glorious. These will be releasing apparently they leaked online originally in the summer. But they're officially announced today. Nice. So these will be coming out April 5th.
I was going to say April of 2022.
Yeah. And the best thing about these releases is that we are finally getting some unabridged audiobooks for the Rogue Squadron books. Again, I said it last time, I'll say it again. Rogue Squadron is the book to read in Legends. Like, go read that series. It's amazing. It's what I was expecting from Alphabet Squadron. I love those books. You have to go look at them. So, and it's going to be read by, I think, the one who's been doing it. The guy who does the Thrawn books? Oh gosh, we're totally blanking today, y'all.
Oh shoot, I forgot his name also.
Okay, hang on, I'm pulling up my Audible. Oh no, don't want to get copyrighted. Title details.
It's
Mark Thompson.
I knew it was an M name. I knew it.
Yeah, I did
Mark
too.
Thompson. Okay. Yes.
So he
Who
will be
does an immaculate job every single time he narrates these things.
yes. So he will be narrating the second book. He did the first one as well. Can't highly recommend it enough. Like when these drop, go get it. Go get it now. And we'll see how I feel about the printing issue when these drop. Because if I'm gonna get the third wave, then I might as well just get the rest of them. So yeah.
For sure. Now, where do you want to go from here? I want to go ahead and say it here. I went ahead and messaged Katie the other day. I unfortunately had to drop nearly $400 on an unexpected car maintenance, so I am unable to grab the Thrawn trilogy sooner than I wanted to. You know, I was really hoping to grab the Thrawn trilogy like around nowish, get started on it, and then by the time the third one came out, I would be able to start on that and we would be able to review it. So, unfortunately, due to that mishap, I won't be able to get the trilogy, but we are working on getting somebody to help Katie with that review. So, who knows?
Nathan will
Maybe.
be here December 1st to talk about it. So,
Ooh, the return of Nathan. That's going to be fun to listen to. But I want to talk about this news that has been blowing up today because he is
yes.
doing some press, of course, for his is it Night in Soho? I think is the
Last
movie.
Night in Soho.
Last Night in Soho. He's doing some press for that. And I guess a question came up for him, and he just decided to spill all the tea for who he might have been in the Rise of Skywalker. I remember when
Yes.
he was announced, everybody's like, oh my gosh, he's Skywalker's son. This is going to be amazing. He's going to come out in the last minute and he's going to save everybody. It's going to be great. And then we started thinking, well, he does have kind of like the evil look too. So maybe he's a villain. Maybe he's another clone of Palpatine. Who, like, there were so many rumors out there. And I just want to say this because he says in the video, he does say, what does he say? There was, you know, we were so close to me being in it, and it never quite happened. I think the thing they were thinking of me for was eventually the part became obsolete. They didn't need it, so I never got to be in Star Wars. I could not possibly say, but it was a pretty groovy thing. It was a pretty groovy part and concept. It was like a big thing. Yeah, it was a big story detail, like, you know, transformative Star Wars story detail, but it never got quite over the line. So saying stuff like it was big, it was like a big shift in the history of the franchise. There was no costume, there were only a couple of meetings that they had. Um, I have no idea what he could have possibly been, to be completely honest, with like such a big part of the franchise. Because I mean, Matt Smith was a breakout star for Doctor Who, and then he just started getting all of these like indie projects. I remember his very first project right after Doctor Who, he played like this weird like drug cartel lord or whatever, and a completely different character that he was in Doctor Who. So I was like, okay, so he's showing range, which is good. He can be in anything.
Yeah.
And I felt like Star Wars was such a great place for him to be in franchise wise. And I was so let down that he wasn't in it. So what do you think he could have been?
I think I want to say along the lines of the son from Mortis, like that he was being instantiated in a lot of that they were going to tie that in Duel of the Fates. I still haven't read the Duel of the Fates script. I know it's out there. If you'd like to see us cover this, I'm planning Q1 for 2022. So tell me if you want us to like talk about.
I mean, it would give me a reason to even look it up because I've heard about it and I've never really like attempted to try to find it or anything else. So it would be interesting for sure. But I threw out a
So I think
concept. Oh, go ahead,
okay.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I think that's what he was in line for. I know some other things that were talked about were a potential live action. Why did I say live action? A younger Palpatine. So, bringing him in instead of Ian McDermott. Um, or potentially going when Palpatine pulls power from Ben and Rey, and he's like, "Oh, a dyad," and he's like regenerating, and you can kind of see it. It
Oh,
was
he would
him
have.
going younger.
That would have been cool.
So, there was a couple different options there. Uh, Personally, I don't know if we would have gotten the guy we get for Rey's father in this case, and because obviously clones, you want them to look alike.
Yeah.
So I think he would have also been Rey's father in the scene. Um, but I'm happy he didn't end up in it because I don't want him relegated to a Palpatine role. I think he would be perfect for it. But there's also very limited things you could do with that. Though I guess he could have gone into like Alkalite or something, if that's supposed to have Palpatine in it.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm happy. I'm happy he has more opportunities to to be a higher profile character in um in Star Wars. I know you threw out one, so like go ahead and talk
Yes.
about it.
I threw this out because I need it to happen. I absolutely need it to happen. Um so I threw out the idea because I was like I can't remember exactly what I said um in that whole conversation. I was kind of just spitballing stuff. I was like, "Oh, well, he could probably be in a High Republic story. Oh, wait. Oh, God. He needs to be Martian Rowe."
hmm I saw
And
that, yeah.
I don't know why that I keep thinking of him as like the evil villain. But apparently, in things like The Crown, which I have not watched yet on Netflix, he does have this kind of persona of being like a jerk.
But
And
in that case, I just want to stop you right there. The
yeah,
Prince Philip was a jerk, so I'm not.
no, but also
May he
if he
rest in
can
peace. But
if he can play the role of a villain-esque character and he has that
yes,
kind of range, like, and especially the way his um if you've ever watched his seasons of Doctor Who, just the
they're
way he
so
delivers
good.
when he delivers lines and just like kind of the way he talks slower and the way that, oh my gosh, we just talked about him, the narrator of the books,
Mark
Mark.
Thompson.
Okay, the way Mark Thompson portrays Martian Rowe, kind of speaking slowly, it reminds me of that of a Matt Smith.
And Mark Thompson's voice is who they've chosen to go with for the ideal Martian Rowe. Like I know he's done the Del Rey narrations
Hmm.
for the High Republic, but he was also who the voice actor they cast for Martian Rowe in Tempest Runner, where they choose specific voice actors to come in for different characters.
Yeah.
So I think he's it.
Yeah.
But
So
yes, I completely
I
agree.
I 100% want it to happen. There is, I think, like we've said, the Acolyte is probably the closest thing to High Republic that we are going to be getting as of now. That is live
Mhm,
action. Hopefully, it leads to more stuff. I know that we have been getting a lot of High Republic stuff this year,
mhm.
going into next year as well. They are going full uh, uh, front with
Full steam
this.
ahead.
Yeah, exactly. So and that just leaves me to like be like, okay, Matt Smith can be Martian Rowe, Jodie Whittaker can be Avar Chris. Like we have a whole Doctor Who takeover. I think it would be great, and it's just something that I legitimately really really want.
Yeah. I think it would be perfect. And like you said, the way he was delivering his lines in Doctor Who, he was known kind of as the sad Doctor who didn't want to face his fate, but was still
Hmm.
like excited by the revelations that came up with like Gallifrey and everything. So I think he really could pull off the Martian Rowe role because it as so far what we've gotten from him is very similar along the same lines. Like he feels depressed, but when there's something that excites him, he gets really excited.
Yeah,
So,
and I think there's a lot of especially towards the end of his seasons, there was moments where Matt Smith had to play a little bit of a cold doctor,
mhm,
very stern and stoic, and that very much resembles that uh of Marcion Rowe as well. So I think all of the aspects are there for Matt Smith to be able to transform into the character. It's
yep,
just if Lucasfilm is wanting to go that route for live action.
definitely.
So where do you want to go from here?
Um, let's talk about Bill Burr. Not allowed to say whether he is returning for The Mandalorian season 3 or not.
Ah, yes, I did see this. I did see this. Yeah.
Which there's really nothing there. Let's be real. This has happened consistently in Mandalorian, um, like for Mandalorian actors and actresses. So I'm not surprised. I know he's not popular saying because of some of the jokes that he's made as a comedian um that are transphobic. So honestly, I wasn't particularly like leaning one way or another towards loving his character or not. So I really don't care if he returns. And I know most Star Wars fans would be happy for him not to return. So,
I know that I mean, I think I was even on the podcast when the three of us kind of, me, you, and Nate, were talking about his character. I know that there's been a little bit of controversy towards the actor himself.
mm-hmm,
Um, Honestly, I think he played his character well. And if there is an in story reason, which let's be honest, Favreau and because Favreau has written every single episode of Mandalorian, correct? Uh,
he's written it in conjunction with I think Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni did write the Ahsoka episode for The Mandalorian, and he
okay,
was the only writer listed for it.
so I mean, regardless of if it's Filoni or Favreau, they've been able to write these episodes uh, pretty well in regards to characters returning, whether it be a
Mm,
small reason or a large reason. So I can fully see, them writing Bill Burr into an episode and it feel organic.
mm-hmm.
So if it's appropriate, I say why not? That's me
So
personally. So.
I do take that back. Favreau wrote he wrote 6 of the 8 episodes in season 1. Dave Filoni wrote The Gunslinger, which he directed, and then chapter 6, The Prisoner, was written by Christopher Yost. The story was, and then the teleplay was converted um, alongside Rick Famuyiwa.
Okay. Okay.
And then Dave Filoni wrote and directed The Jedi, which is chapter 13 in season 2. And then Rick Famuyiwa wrote and directed The Believer in season 2. So he's written most of the episodes.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. But like I said, I think that if it is appropriate and that they can make it happen organically, sure. If he just falls into their laps and is just no real reason to be there other than, hey, look, it's Bill Burr again, then
Mhm.
I don't really need it.
Yeah, for me, I think he got off and was directed properly. So cool.
S Bubs is in the chat. He says, I don't. If most Star Wars fans wouldn't want to see him return, probably a large amount, though. Regardless of how
That's
I feel about the actor, I did like his character a lot. I did too, especially in the second season when they're kind of going undercover. I really enjoyed that episode. I know there was a lot of controversy on whether the Mandalorian should take off his helmet. And I'm like, he has to, it's the only way this story progresses. Which I don't know why people still complain about that. But still, it was a good episode, and I
yeah.
think his character fits well in those scenarios that give it a little bit more like grounding as far as
Mm-hmm.
the because I mean we're in Star Wars, it's galactic, there's freaking lightsaber battles and all sorts of stuff. But I think in a weird way, Bill Burr's character gets us to a level of like, hey, these are humans, you know?
Yeah, and I get that. I didn't really like he fit well, especially in the one where the Mandalorian Din Djarin takes his helmet off. But for me, I didn't relate to his character. So I thought that we definitely got better characters. So I think the way he left the show in season 2 works well. And so I don't want to bring characters back, like you said, just for the sake of bringing them back.
And also,
So
like it is he is playing a character that could very well be replaced with an entirely new character.
mhm.
Like not necessarily needing him, but again, the really funny thing about Star Wars is like, oh, we have an entire galaxy to play around with, but that's not the Luke Skywalker saga. You know, we
Yeah.
always return to the same planets, we always play with the same characters. It's just what Star Wars does, so
Yeah.
don't be surprised when you see reoccurring characters. As much
Mhm.
as there is a huge galaxy, like it would just be way too much for us as individuals to try and explore just random characters all the freaking time. You need something that is similar that you can be comfortable with. Not saying you have to be comfortable with Bill Burr, but I'm just saying he is somebody who is introduced, so it is only natural in the Star Wars way for him to make another appearance, probably.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about Rosario Dawson filming Ahsoka. Um, so there was a let me pull it up. It was on the Fat Man Beyond podcast, which is Kevin Smith's podcast.
Hmm.
Mark Bernardine said that he was looking to hire Rosario Dawson for an upcoming short film, which will be filming in the December timeframe. And she said that she was unavailable for that time period due to a high profile engagement. So it looks like potentially Ahsoka um, could start filming in the December timeframe. We know they're filming The Mandalorian right now. However, the Andor has been filming in England on the same type of set of like the volume. So they could be filming there because we know Mandalorian's filming was set to kind of take place from now till early March.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, for sure. It usually from what the volume does, and you know, I was just talking about this via DC Alliance for Canada. I don't know exactly how it is everywhere else in the world, but I'm pretty sure there is probably some sort of COVID precautions in
mhm.
filming still to this day, whether you are vaccinated or not. So that can still leave some room for like, hey, instead of productions being your normal like 6 to 9 months, it has room to possibly grow. But I would assume that this is a 6 months 6 month production.
Yeah, I think so as well. And it makes sense that she's doing Ahsoka then because the only things upcoming that she has is Haunted Mansion, which is currently filming. Um, and that's set to release in 2022. And then you have DMZ, which is an upcoming American dystopian miniseries.
By Ava
But that's
DuVernay.
already
Yeah,
done filming. And so then the last thing she has left on, at least on the Wikipedia page, is Ahsoka. So
nice.
yeah, I'm excited. And like we said at the beginning of the podcast, she is or the Ahsoka series will be 8 episodes, and that's not surprising considering what we've had from the show from the shows already. So
For sure. I'm excited about this. I mean, as soon as the sooner they can start filming, the sooner it comes out. Um,
mhm.
I'm excited to see any and all news that we may get on the Disney Plus Day, which is just 1 week away.
Yep.
Um, I'm not entirely sure yet how I feel about what Disney Plus Day is going to be, and I guess we can kind of shift into that. Um, I have so many thoughts about the possibility. Actually, before we jump into Disney Plus Day,
Yes.
let's go ahead and take our first break. Of course, guys, we do not choose these ads. We do not choose the amount of times it repeats if it does, or we do not choose. Sorry about my dog. We do not choose the volume of these ads. So we will be right back. And we are back. So,
Before you grab that, I did just want to share. Brian Murphy says Bill is an elite sharpshooter. Boba Fett will need him. So, I don't remember Bill's character's name, but I would highly disagree. I don't think we're gonna see his character in Book of Boba Fett. I think we're gonna get more original characters, and if anything, we'll see like our starring cast, like Din Djarin coming in. A lot of people have said, and we'll get to that in a second. But a lot of people have said that one of the voices in the trailer is actually Din Djarin. So we'll see how it goes. Do you see a reason for Bill Burr to be in Book of Boba Fett?
I don't think so. Especially when, oh shoot, what is her name? His new right hand.
Ming
The
Na Wen.
the assassin. I can't remember her name now. I had it
We're
at the
just
tip of my tongue.
we're just
We're
all
all over the
forgetting
place
names
today.
tonight.
We're all over the place. So hold on. Let me actually. This is gonna bother me.
Because we're gonna have to bring it up anyways. So
Uh, Finnick Shan.
Fennec Shand, yes.
Yes. So Finnick is an assassin who specializes in sharpshooting. So I think she will do just fine for Boba. Again, I will go ahead and reiterate that, like, don't be surprised if we do see random characters that we've seen from The Mandalorian, because again, as big as the galaxy is, they do like to play in a very small part or small corner of that galaxy. So I still think that we will see familiar faces. But as far as guarantees, I am not okay with saying, oh, we're definitely going to be seeing this person
Yeah.
and we're definitely going to be seeing this person. I think that the only person that I'm comfortable with possibly saying a guarantee is the Mandalorian himself.
Yeah.
But
Two is better than one, Brian says. Brian, we appreciate you being here.
yes, that is true. I'm more excited though on, this very man. See, I'm not sure if we want to go Disney Plus Day or the trailer now. I'm just very confused.
Let's do Disney Plus Day.
Okay, real quick. Disney Plus Day. We were going to talk predictions. I will be completely honest. I have no idea what this is going to be still. And they have reiterated, like, oh, it's not going to be live. It's going to be this and it's going to be this. But picture it, if you will. I think that it will be a pre-recording, basically, maybe of what what the investor call was, kind of, but instead it'll be a sizzle reel again of what we all have for Star Wars, what we have for Marvel, and what we have for Disney. That's what I'm assuming.
Yeah, they broke it down into kind of like sections of Disney film. They broke it down into sections of Disney last year. So they did Marvel, Star Wars, or they did Lucasfilm, and then they did like regular Disney stuff. So I presume it'll be along those same lines, like you said. I do think it's pre-recorded, so it's very similar. I think from last year's perspective, I think it was very similar to what this year's DC Universe was, or DC Fandom. Sorry, I got DC Fandom was, and so they'll break it kind of similarly, but everything will be kind of stuck together in a sense. I
don't like
think that's how it's gonna go.
I just don't like that it's just like, oh, if you want to watch this, you have to go to Disney Plus and watch it, because I don't feel like, yes, because you'll have people like us go watch it, but I feel like announcing it and having a live broadcast is still going to get you more noise and more people talking about it throughout the day, because like you can watch it in the morning, and then like I can watch it in the evening, and it just like it feels like a weird way to kind of throw this out there. Like
Is
it's
it only
almost
on
it's
Disney Plus?
I think that's what they said. They're gonna drop it on Disney Plus. It's not like on a YouTube channel. It's not like on a website that they're gonna broadcast on. Excuse me. They're dropping it on Disney Plus. And so it's almost gonna be like, so for those of you who don't know, the GUA has a lot of these ongoing series, whether it be Marvel, DC, Star Wars, whatever, that we all watch. And
Mm.
we respect each other to say, hey, we're not going to put any spoilers in here.
Spoilers.
And we all let each other know, okay, I've seen this. I've seen this. And I kind of feel like we're going to have to do that on Disney Plus Day. And I feel like that's a little silly.
I don't think so because I still think things are going to drop whether Disney likes it or not. Trailers and everything are going to drop on the internet, so we're going to be able to see things pretty much live, like we were for Disney DC fandom. Um, so I think just if you want to go watch for like specific details, you'll be able to. Um, but I just don't see it happening like where DC, where I keep saying DC, where Disney's just going to be able to keep everything on Disney Plus and not have anything else spread to the World Wide Web.
Yeah. And I mean, last year for Investors Day in December was an event. Same thing for
Mm-hmm.
DC fandom. It was an event. We all sat down, we all watched. And I was really contemplating on whether I would be taking next week off, or at least that Thursday, to just sit down in front of my computer and watch everything on this Disney Plus day. And it sounds like they're just going to be like, hey, today's Disney Plus day, enjoy Disney Plus. And like that's weird. You're not hyping anything up. You're just saying, hey, if you want to know the future of Disney Plus, watch it on Disney Plus. That just, I don't know. There's just something weird about that doesn't give me hyped at all.
Oh yeah, it is on Disney Plus. Okay.
Yeah, it just sounds like a very weird way to be like, hey, we want subscribers, so subscribe and watch all of this, because we do know that Shang-Chi and Jungle Cruise, and I think there's a third film that's dropping on that day as well. So they're dropping those three movies as well as this video that's saying, hey, look towards the future of Disney Plus with this.
Yeah.
And it feels like just another piece of content that they're dropping like documentary style, when I feel like you had all day people talking about all of your announcements last year. So why not go that route?
Um, I don't really know. I really thought this was just going to be another like stream fest, like the investors call, because they said this is the inaugural Disney Plus day, but I feel like they did something very similar last year, um, on November 12th, which was the day they released Disney Plus to the world. So I'm not sure, but I feel like they're not going to be able to relegate it to Disney Plus. So I mean, honestly, I probably won't check it out. I do know one thing Marvel Alliance and us have been trying to figure out is if we're going to do a live broadcast that night to talk about Disney Plus and kind of just share the episode, because that will be the big news that drops next week.
Yes.
So, still trying to figure that out. So we may not go live next Wednesday, y'all, and there may not be an episode next Thursday, but there will be an episode. So, and I'll put those details on the Star Wars Alliance Twitter feed so y'all can.
Yeah. It all depends on what exactly Disney Plus Day turns out to be. Because if it is just something very meh, then me and Katie will probably go on next week, the week after, to just be like, hey, this is what happened. And then, or like Katie said, we will probably talk with Brent and Chris, talking about the overall scenarios of what happened on Disney Plus, talk about Marvel, talk about Star Wars as well. So
Yeah. So what we are currently rumored to have next Friday is currently the first teaser trailer for the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, which makes sense. They're done filming, plenty of time to kind of jump on and put together something small, especially for your inaugural Disney Plus day. So there's that. We should also expect another sizzle reel for Andor. And so getting that potentially even like a full-blown trailer effect, because they've been done filming that, I think, for a while.
Yeah,
And so
for a
that's supposed
long
to
time. Yeah.
so we're supposed to get, I think, Book of Boba Fett, Andor, and then Obi-Wan Kenobi. And we may get season 2 of Bad Batch somewhere in there. So,
Yeah.
and then probably Mandalorian after Obi-Wan Kenobi. And then we may be looking at Ahsoka. So, I think that's supposed to be the schedule.
I will say, like, the very first Batman trailer has spoiled me. Like, Matt Reeves said, "Oh, we've only filmed 25% of this. Here's a full-blown trailer." Like, now every production ever created can never give me the excuse, "Oh, we don't have enough filmed yet." Like, no, I'm sorry.
No.
Like, I need to see actual trailers from all of the projects. And nowadays teasers are like almost 3 minutes long, so I'm okay with that as well. So
I don't want to see too much from it though. Like, this is like their grand event because there's not another film coming until 2023.
I can very easily see Kenobi's trailer being like flashbacks. So you see only stuff from Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith. And then right before you would possibly see freaking like A New Hope, you see Kenobi. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I would picture we're gonna get like some sort of voiceover.
That's what I mean. You would see all the flashbacks with the voiceover, maybe the conversation between Yoda and Obi-Wan when they were deciding to go into hiding. I think that would be a really cool like voiceover thing. And then we see like maybe like as small as maybe 10, I would say 5 to 10 seconds of whatever they want to show us new footage. That's it.
Brian says hopefully some Darth Vader. I could see that.
I could definitely see some Darth Vader in there.
Because that's not spoilery. You just show him with the big red lightsaber and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh."
Well, no, and the thing is, I'm gonna go ahead and be like, it's not even devil's advocate. It's a little bit of a tease within itself because you don't even have to show new footage of Vader. You show him being created in the end of Revenge of the Sith, and people still be like, people would like be angry at you, but at the same time, you can't be angry because you know we're gonna get Vader in this series.
No,
exactly.
You're gonna have a lot of those gifts.
Oh yes, please! I want that now. I just want that. Just have the mask come on him at the very end of the teaser trailer, and then everybody have the no.
S-Bub says he's looking for a shot of Kenobi looking at the twin suns or a lightsaber igniting, something like that, just to kind of tease and everything.
Oh yeah, I could definitely see that. I will go ahead and say we will not see any new character in the teaser. I don't think. I think that you kind of keep that, hidden, because people, I will tell you this. If the show was legit, just Ian McGregor and no other supporting cast, people would still watch that show. So
would people watch him just like the moisture farming? It's just like got the moisture farming. I need that to be like an April Fool's prank Disney now. Like, oh, here's your first sneak peek at Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's just
Oh my
oyster farming
gosh,
his life away.
that would be great. Oh man, we are trolling so hard with these teases. Um,
Yes.
but
So we're looking. Sorry,
oh no, what were you gonna say? We were looking at what?
I was gonna go ahead and like drop what the rest of we're expecting is.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got we're looking at potential behind the scenes reels for both the Book of Boba Fett and the Mandalorian season 3. Um it they say it seems a bit early for a sizzle reel on season 3 of the Mandalorian, but I can potentially see like them just talking about the story and just getting Favreau and Filoni on it going, well, where can we go from here? So I think that's more what we're gonna
I was gonna
see.
say, do you see possibly another round table?
I don't see that. I know we're gonna get the behind the scene or like the making of Boba Fett, the bounty hunter special. So
Yes.
we will get that. So I don't think we're gonna see too much roundtable dropping that day. Um, we are also expecting some new Star Wars project announcements. Oh, we forgot about one thing on the news. But I'll mention that now. Um, they said that we can definitely expect a new canon animated series could be announced. Um, they didn't specify what, but they said that it is a full ordered animated series that will release in 2023. And they will also be showing a teaser of the Bad Batch season 2. And in regards to the animated series, there has been heavy rumors that there will be a Maul animated series. And for those of you who are not aware, originally there was a lot of
I'm
there
sorry.
was y'all were a mess. I
No,
didn't even drink tonight.
I just the reason why I laugh is because so of course we are a sister station to that of Geekverse, and Taylor Field, big Star Wars fan, had no idea about this. And this happened what, 3 years ago now? Like almost
It
3 years
happened like a
ago?
year and a half ago. Like I don't think it was full on 3 years ago, but it was
It was a
it
while
was like
ago.
over a year ago. It was a
Yeah.
while ago.
And so if people don't know, what had happened is Ray Park posted revenge porn on his Instagram, and Snell wants to say allegedly. I'm sorry, it was right there. I was freaking just scrolling on Instagram, and then why hasn't this been taken down? And it was from what reports say it was up for like 6 to 9 hours. Like
Yeah, it
I
was
re-
up for hours.
I remember it being there because I mean, I have insomnia. I don't sleep very well, especially with my old job where I would go to bed at like 3 or 4 in the morning. So it was just there, and I'm just like, oh, this is awkward. I wonder if he is no longer going to be attached to Lucasfilm. And somehow he is still able to get spots at conventions, which is weird. But I mean, we haven't seen him really attached to anything other
No.
than he was technically a part of the season finale for
This
Clone
is what
Wars.
happened. Yeah, so it was right after Clone Wars season 7. Like
Yeah.
right after it ended. So it was like sometime last year. But yeah, so there was a heavy rumors. Oh, Maul's return in this got so much great feedback, and that's because of Sam Witwer's performance. May I have you?
Yes.
Um, but there were, and obviously with Maul going in and Solo and having that cameo, everyone wants to know what did Maul do during this time frame. So Cinelinx, who reported the Obi-Wan Kenobi show and that Ewan McGregor was returning for it, did have the report that they are doing a Maul animated series, which should mean Sam Witwer will be returning. So all good stuff there. So I'm picturing that's the announcement we'll see that day about an animated series. Though I love Star Wars animation, so I'm excited if they pull out like 5 different animated show announcements. Just within reason, y'all, because obviously I didn't like Bad Batch, so
I
I
think
would love to see more animation.
if they start to go a little bit more like narrow in what they want to tell a story for, Instead, like, I know it's Star Wars and I know they're not going to do this, but I will say Favreau and Filoni are geniuses when it comes to, hey, we have so much story to work with. Let's fill in the gaps. They're really good at
Mhm.
filling in the gaps, but in order to fill in the gaps, you have to make things connect to the already existing product of Star Wars.
Yeah.
So that does kind of get in the way in some things, but overall, it still makes a whole lot of sense, and they're still able to make it work. SBUB says, like what I said before, just deep fake Ray Park's face onto Sam Witwer, and boom, you have a live action Maul again. I think
It's I don't think you need to do
it
that.
is. No, I think here's the thing, S Bubs, and everybody who is listening. This is the year of 2021. We have been seeing, like, although conditions for stunt workers need to be a little bit more advised and very much like, hey, I think everything having to do with production of movies and TVs needs to be widely looked at after some of the stuff we have seen recently with other productions and everything else. But we have seen stunt workers excel dramatically in the last like 10 years. Like, I am pretty
Mhm.
sure we can find somebody like a Ray Park that can do everything Ray Park can do. And
Yeah.
that can be the stunt double for Sam Witwer. Boom.
But see, I don't think you even need a stunt double. Well, Sam Witwer's, I think he just turned 42, somewhere in
He's
that
getting
range.
up there, and I
He's
don't think
getting
he
up
is
there.
very athletic as far as like the amount of stunts and like gymnastic type movements that Maul can do, you
See,
know?
but I think he could do it because he was the motion capture for the Force Unleashed video games.
But for how much though? There's still stunt workers on that
But
too, though. Like, I am pretty sure there is still stunt workers on those mocap suits. Like, I can understand if he is doing wire work and he has like the ability to have help doing some of those performances, but like something like a live action, I feel like you do need a little bit more of the help of a stunt worker or stunt
Which and
double.
that's fine. Like everyone gets stunt doubles kind of nowadays. Especially with how valuable certain talent is. So
Exactly.
and I think for Maul it's really easy to have a stunt double, but I mean Sam Witwer is the voice of Maul now. I know he was voiced by a different actor. Did Ray Park actually voice him in The Phantom
No,
Menace?
not
I
in
don't
the
think.
Phantom Menace. No, he did not. There was a different voice actor in there.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't I Ma- Maul's voice now is um he is Sam Witwer. So
Yeah.
I don't want to see another person
And
perform
I'm pretty
for him.
sure Sam Witwer was the voice of him in Solo. So they've already
Yes.
set it like in motion as far as live action that Sam is Darth Maul. So
Yeah.
honestly, you like, guys, Maul is not human. He is a completely different species, which the production will use heavy makeup and prosthetics.
Yep.
It's all you got to do. Like, I'm sorry, you do that with freaking Sam Witwer, you're good to go.
Yeah.
It
So
shouldn't be that
we'll see
hard.
what happens. I think Witwer's the perfect voice for Maul. We just um we watched Twin Sons, Matt and I was like, oh, this performance is just like so incredible. So and Matt was even like, dude, this was like deep. um and by the way, our watch on Rebels, we just finished episode 12 of season 4 of Rebels. So we have 3 more episodes to go, basically.
Oof.
And we watched Kanan's death, and Matt was like, "Oh, was this like Hera says I love you to Kanan?" And Matt goes, "Was this the thing you were trying to show me, or was this what you were waiting for?" And I was like, and then like 30 seconds later, it's like boom, like fire. Kanan's gone. Kanan's dead. And sorry, spoilers for Rebels if you haven't watched it yet. But it was like, he was like, wait, what? And he's like, it's just silent. And what? So
It
yeah, that was his reaction there.
so do you think that we will ever see a live action Kanan?
I don't think so. You might could get him maybe in Andor, but I think his story's been covered. Freddie Prinze Jr. Love him. He's incredible. But I just don't think.
I
Don't.
can't see
I
live
don't
action
think.
Freddie Prinze Jr. as Kanan. I'm sorry. I know. I mean, there is
Well, and
precedent.
yeah,
Well, go ahead.
I was gonna say like it doesn't have to be him, but I know they made an effort to try and get actors that could portray them in live action.
Well, and that's the
So.
thing because he did voice Kanan in
Mhm.
The Rise of Skywalker at the
And
very
he's
end.
such a snarky Star Wars fan. Like, I love following him on Twitter.
I love his
He's like,
energy. His energy
yes,
towards Star Wars and him just like shutting people up all the time. It's great. I love it.
yes.
Um, but let's go ahead and before we talk about the Boba Fett trailer, let's go ahead
I'm
and take
sorry.
our second. I know we went on a long tangent there, but it's all right. Let's go ahead and take our second ad break, and we will be right back. And we are back. So, this trailer, I will admit, I saw it like you, I saw it at work. And the one thing that I hate about me and my impatientness is I see a trailer, I press it, and I immediately watch it. My phone probably takes 15 to 20 seconds to finally like solidify and buffering and everything. So it's finally 4K HD 20 seconds in. And so that first 20 seconds, I'm like, what in the hell is going on in this trailer? But I'm a little conflicted. Now, again, this is a teaser. I know it
Yeah.
says first official trailer. I'm sorry. This is a teaser. And it makes me think of one prediction that I have for the entire show. And we'll get there when we get there. But this is a little conflicting because it didn't bring the energy that I thought it was going to bring, you know? How do you
Well,
feel
okay.
about this?
Okay. So I've got it pulled up. Could you hear that, by the way?
Hear
No, you
what?
couldn't hear it.
No, I
Cool.
don't think
I
so.
played like the first 16 seconds of the trailer because I was like watching it and I was like, wait, can you hear this?
No, I cannot.
That's good to know for later though. So okay. I want to pull it up. We're gonna share it. We're just gonna like talk over it and everything.
Make
So
sure that you have the sound muted so that way we don't get taken down. Yeah, that should be good.
and then
And
I'm gonna put on captions.
there we go.
All right. So we're gonna start over. Oh no, we're not starting over. Okay, hang on.
There
Okay,
we
there we
go.
go.
So remind me, what is this? Because I don't think I know this at all. This
So
this
that is a
spider thing.
Bomar monk.
Okay.
So, and we can talk about that after.
Okay.
He has eyebrows, big fat.
Everybody was freaking out at the fact that he now has eyebrows, compared to them being singed off in The Mandalorian.
Yes.
But in here,
This is who. Okay, this is who they think is Din Djarin.
Oh, the person talking? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, we see a very like calm, collected Boba in this trailer.
Yep.
We don't see him smacking heads or anything. We only see him getting like violent near the end of this trailer, but
Yeah.
he is sitting down. He is, what is the term, breaking bread with people and saying,
Yeah.
"Hey, before Jabba would run this place and he wouldn't even have a second thought if you talked against him. You'd be out of here and you'd be dead." He is giving people a chance, but I think that is a spin. I think that is, "Hey, I'm going to give you a chance, but if you don't take that chance, you're dead." I think that is the way Boba's going to take it. Um how do you feel about this kind of tease or like first showing of how this show is going to be played out?
As Pope said, Tatooine trade disputes. Oh, I love it. Oh,
I
that's
mean, I'm
funny.
not against it because again, Star Wars has politics. It does. And like I'm sorry, even in the real world, I'm pretty sure like you have your drug cartels and your low lackeys and your drug rings that are also political. Like so you're gonna have that kind of thing in Boba Fett Boba Fett being this new crime lord. So
Yep.
how do you feel?
So I liked it better now, and I don't think this. I think the spider at the front, the Bomar monk. I think that doesn't look as bad as Snell made it out to look. I had really bad signal when I was watching it, so I didn't trust what Snell was saying. I didn't think the CGI on that looked terrible. But the Bomar monk is basically it's a religious order that lives on Tatooine, and they what was it? They so the Jabba the Hutt's palace was originally their monastery, and so the Jabba allowed them to remain in the monastery after he took the monastery from them and used it as a palace. Um, so that's kind of what we got. And so the Bomar monk in with the spider, uh, the little orange bulb that he's carrying is the monk's brain. So when they reached a high level of enlightenment, they would then supplant their brain and put them in these jars, and then the spider was how they got around.
Okay.
So there's your history.
That's interesting. Very, very interesting.
Um,
Um I was not expecting that kind of an explanation for that. Okay. So my thing is, and my prediction, and I don't know how you feel about this. My prediction is the reason why they're going into politics is for one, we have heard the rumors of this show being a like almost like Arrow season one with the list, and he's gonna go after whoever is basically wronged him before. So there's that rumor for Boba Fett as well, and with him being now a crime lord, basically, I also think, and this is my prediction, Crimson Dawn is going to make
no.
their appearance in this series, bringing back Amelia Clark. I threw this out there in the GV Discord, the Geekverse Discord. If you want to join, just hit Geekverse up. Travis, me, Taylor, we can send you an invite. Very fun conversations in there. It gets wild sometimes.
That's
Have to
why it's
watch
on mute for me.
Watch out for S Bub spoiling everything out there, being his own little mini scooper out here. But I think that because Snell brought up the idea of, oh, well, Amelia Clark would have to then age up to be in concurrent with Star Wars, and their timeline. And I truly think Amelia Clark is one of those actresses that will probably look the same age for a very long time. She just looks
Yeah.
like she has one of those faces. And so I think it will not be out of the realm of impossibility for them to maybe put one little like wrinkle here or there, or blemish, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it, and then be like, okay, this is her 20 years later or however long it's going to be.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's about, I think I want to say it's 10, 15 years later. So,
yeah. So I don't think it'll change that much, to be completely honest. So with that being said, I do think it would make a whole lot of sense, especially with them creating this entire thing with the War of the Bounty Hunters in comics, getting people hyped up for Boba Fett anyway. I think it would make perfect sense for Crimson Dawn to make an appearance.
I think so too. Especially as Bob says, maybe not an appearance, but I feel like it'll get a mention. But I just feel like after War of the Bounty Hunters, we're gonna get some good stuff to come between the two. I know that that's a comic book series, but I know a lot of times these things have kind of led into it. And I mean, I don't, even though Boba eventually gets Han back from Kira because Kira steals Han from him between 5 and 6, I just think there's still some vendetta there. Especially because in, I think it's Star Wars 18 today, that released, y'all, I don't I don't read comics as they come out. I just look for spoilers on the internet. Um I'm too cheap to pay for comics the day of, okay? No, so Leia and Kira met in this finale for War of the Bounty Hunters, and they had a meeting, and Kira basically says, "Hey, I'll be around. I can do a lot for the Alliance, but I don't know if the Alliance can do a lot for me." So there's more to that future. And I know Charles Soule is this month he's got Crimson, I think it's Crimson Reign out, volume
Yes.
or issue 1. So we'll get more towards that as it comes. But I just think Kira, played by Amelia Clark, is too. It's you can't waste it. I love Amelia Clark in TV shows, and she's done some pretty good movies as well. So I just think you need to use her while you have her. So
I think it would be very smart to place her in here, whether it be for an episode or two, get, the general feel of how people are still enjoying her character. And then you move her towards her own series.
yeah, I think so as well. Nathan is in the chat. Nathan, I'm not saying what you said. Clay's gonna share it though.
Just briefly.
No, they didn't do that. No. I'll leave it at that. Nathan, it's good to see you in the comments. So, yeah.
But I do think that it would be a great idea for them to just show her, see the response that everybody would get, because I think Amelia Clark making a new appearance in Star Wars would even make the rounds for the general public to be like,
Mm-hmm.
or general audience to be like, hey, why is she in Star Wars? Go see the Book of Boba Fett, find out why would she even be in that. People get reminded of Solo. And, I think that she could have potential trending to, put in her favor to get her own Crimson Dawn series.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be, because I know a lot of people were also saying, hey, maybe the Crimson Dawn could be one of those animated shows that may be introduced in the future for Lucasfilm.
Well, so this is interesting. Star Wars News Net's trailer breakdown says the recent Darth Vader number 17 comic revealed that after a long period of contention, Ochi of Bestoon, famous in The Rise of Skywalker, ends up freeing an imprisoned Kira, now ruler of Crimson Dawn, and stands by her side. Is it possible Amelia Clark returns as Kira in the Book of Boba Fett? It would also mean Crimson Dawn plays a role in more underworld entanglements, which likely include other groups in addition to what Fett is trying to build. It's a heavy dose of speculation. But the reasoning for saying that is because if you look here, they've got a screenshot up, and there's a arrow pointing to a guy that's like out of focus, but his costume, his headgear that he's wearing looks like Ochi of Bestoon's headgear. So that is what they're saying. So falls along the lines of the same character. They said, I don't think you create a show with Boba Fett as your main character without unloading the kitchen sink. So I think we'll get some baggage, and I really want to see how he survived the Sarlacc pit. They said you could potentially see Cad Bane, and we're just throwing everything at it, y'all.
Yeah.
I liked seeing it in Bad Batch, and I know it's a small world, and I enjoy Star Wars being a small world, but you don't need to take away the focus from your main character. I'm gonna say it. I'll keep saying it. Oh, so my story, I'm sticking to it.
Again, I don't think that it necessarily needs to, like, your focus doesn't stray away, because even in, let's say, that of The Mandalorian season 2, they were going to make uh, the uh, the Rangers of the Republic show based off of two random X-wing pilots that showed up in one episode, like, and yes, it did. Yes, but it didn't stray away from the focus of the Mandalorian at all. I think when you have these appearances in Star Wars, especially in the way that they do it here in Disney Plus, yes, people can argue, oh, that was the first appearance of the backdoor pilot for this character and this character. And it's just like, no, you made an appearance, you see how people react to that appearance, and it's just like a comic. If people like that appearance of said character, hey, let's put that character in more people's hands, and in the general public's eyes. So that's what you do with these characters here in these shows. Now,
and I think that's what Book of Boba Fett came out to be. They saw such a great reaction to Ming-Na Wen and Tamara Morrison's appearance in The Mandalorian, and we're just like, okay, yeah, cool, y'all have it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that while I don't need like a bounty hunter show per se, and like have different bounty hunters, because I think that could get kind of out of whack and like just like can kind of go all over the place. I could see a Crimson Dawn show and have Cad Bane like possibly get hired and then get in a tussle and like do all sorts of different things.
I think you just need to do Tales of the Underworld, where it's an anthology series and you've got a full Crimson Dawn episode right here. And you go kind of in different directions and you see what clicks, and then you go from there.
Yeah.
So
for sure. For sure.
I liked the trailer better this time around. A lot of people have said that they think this trailer only has footage from the first episode.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, because I do think that, like I said, I do think this is a tease. I don't think it's an official trailer. I think the closer we get to December, we are going to get a bigger, more hyped trailer that's going to have people like, oh man, I need to be here first day to be, a part of this. So I will agree with that as well. I think that this is only just a very small portion, and we have seen that with all of the Disney Plus shows. They have done very good marketing in the sense of like, hey, you're only seeing a small portion of this. Be prepared to see more. So I'm really excited to see what direction we go with the Book of Boba Fett for sure.
Yeah. Alrighty. Are we ready to talk about the first physical comic book I've ever read?
Yes. And just to be safe, do you think we should take one more ad break? Or
let's go ahead and take one more ad break. Remember, we're sponsored by Manscaped, so go use that code.
Yes, GUA Pod. GUA Pod. 20% off of your purchase, as well as free shipping worldwide. But we will be right back. And we are back. So, the very first comic book you read all the way through. I mean,
the first physical comic book.
I was going to say, technically, you were on World's Finest True Believers with Chris Valga.
I did read Dark Empire.
Yes,
and
you did.
Know what's funny is I have a Legend comic book that I've had on my bookshelf for like 5-7 years, somewhere in that range. Have not read it yet.
So did this kind of sway you into getting into it? Maybe.
I think so. Let me see.
Okay. So I will admit I feel like I can kind of see where this book takes place.
This is the first one I ever bought.
Oh, Star Wars Legacy. Okay, yeah.
I haven't read this one.
So maybe you can help with the timeline because, of course, just like the very first Del Rey book, if you open this trade, it does give you the timeline of Star Wars, not necessarily the timeline of High Republic, but it does give you the timeline of Star Wars with the High Republic, the Fall of the Jedi, Reign of the Empire, Age of Rebellion, the New Republic, and the Rise of the First Order, showing you exactly where every movie and show takes place, blah, 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 blah. This, I would assume, takes place after Into the Dark?
Okay. So I'm on geekritique.net. And so they have, this was published in February, so it's not full, but it does have some of them. So High Republic #1 takes place after a test of courage.
Which I
Number
do completely agree with because we do get to see Emery again,
Yep.
along with his new master. Oh my
Yes.
gosh, I forgot her name.
Vernestra?
Their name, yeah, Vernestra. So we saw them again. I'm very happy to see them. As little as we did, I was very happy to see that they were a part of this as well. I think the only big players that we really didn't see in this story was Man and oh shoot,
Stellan.
and Stellan. Yeah, I think are the like. Oh, and I guess you can technically say Lord Greatstorm and
Which by this point, he's already been kidnapped. So.
yes, by this point he has already been kidnapped, and we had also not seen, of course, Bell Zettifar.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed this. We are introduced, I think, technically in this book, we are introduced to the characters that are very, very unique in their own right. They are named. Oh shoot! What is their name? It is.
You're talking about the
Yes,
twins?
the twins. It is Sarat and Tarek. It is basically Sarat's name backwards. Is their name? It's forward and backwards. If you didn't notice that little thing, but we open up the book with issue 1, basically having I'm gonna forget everybody. Kiev. Trennis.
Yes, yeah. Kiev Trennis.
Having her training.
She's on Sheridan. And she's training with Skier. And Skier's lost his arm at this point, and he lost that in the Light of the Jedi. So this does take place after that. And the first 3 all really take place back to back. The first 3 issues, at least according to this timeline. So
which I really do like how they play along, and we'll get there when we get there, but they play along with his trauma of losing his arm, in regards to like him. A big plot point to this is after that entire incident of Light of the Jedi, he is starting to close himself off to the Force, which I have one little nitpick at as him as a character and how they kind of changed the direction of what they were going to do with him, especially with the ending of this issue or with this volume, because I don't quite remember if he makes an appearance in other books.
I think Steve makes several small appearances.
Because Skeeve is in the audio drama Tempest Runner.
Yep.
I do remember that. But the training kind of goes awry with these giant whale type insect things. I can't remember exactly what they were called. But they are giant. They're like giant freaking dragonflies, basically, is what they are.
The
And
Ridadi.
okay, yeah. And the colony that is living on this planet are very small. And they look like flies, basically.
Yeah,
They're bigger than flies
they look
because
like little fairies.
that's what it is, fairies. They look like little fairies. And uh shoot, again, gonna be I have I downloaded this picture of everybody in the High Republic, and there's like little lines that say everybody's name, so I'm gonna be referencing that a lot. Keeve is basically like, hey, I could just like let them do this, but your colony is very rare and your species is very rare, so I'm going to sacrifice my ship in order to save you guys, because this one little fairy type species, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, he was very worried for her, and like, hey, you don't need to do that. And she's like, those come by, like, you know 1,000,000 to 1 or whatever, so I'll get another ship, but you guys won't
Mhm.
get another colony, so I'm gonna save you guys.
Yeah.
But we are again reintroduced to Avar Chris over at Starlight Beacon. Um, they are needing both Skier and shoot again
Keeve?
Keeve. Remember Keeve. Jesus. Um, they're needing to go to Starlight Beacon, and the main reason why is because Keeve is no longer going to be a Padawan. She has been knighted by Chris herself, which like, and it's really cool because I think Keeve is clearly going to be the main character of this High
Yeah.
Republic uh comic. And so she is us. She is the person that is new to all of this. We're going to be seeing everything fresh from her eyes. And so like when she meets Chris, she like curses at her and she's like, "Holy shit!" Like it's a Star Wars term for different
Yeah.
curse words, but she's like, "Holy crap, you're Avar Chris," and she's like, "I need to stop cussing." And then she cusses again. She's like, "I'm sorry, hi." And Chris knights her. It's such a really cool like way it happens. And then they're in the ceremony that kind of just like is the grand inauguration type thing,
Yeah, for Starlight Beacon.
and then they go off to this mission. I'm not entirely sure what takes them to it necessarily. I think it was a distress call that they had gotten, which now, more so than ever, Skeeve and uh, Jesus,
Skier.
Keeve, no, Skier and
Skier and
Keeve
Keeve.
are more partners than they are uh, teacher and apprentice, or
Yes.
teacher and student.
So before we go any further into issue 2, I did just want to point something fun out that a lot of people had called out when these issues dropped. Keeve Trennis is actually what a lot of people are theorizing in Dooku Jedi Lost. Dooku, I think it's Dooku and Yoda go through and they see the bust of Jedi who have left the Order. And there's a Master Trennis.
Oh,
And
that's interesting.
I can't remember what Yoda says. Um, but Yoda says something along the lines like they were they were one of the brightest among us. Trying to think.
Oh yeah, Yoda makes an
So
appearance in this first issue, by the way, people.
yes.
A younger but still old Yoda.
Younger but still
um,
old.
he's still walking around with a cane. Um, but I really did enjoy the first issue here. The second issue, of course, is now, of course, the Trennis's very first. Um, oh yeah, yeah. The I will say I really did enjoy having the covers as like the markers of like, hey, you finished issue 1, you finished issue 2. This was
Mhm.
like, hey, I'm gonna take a break now and go do this.
So
And
is
like,
that
oh,
not something that like typically
they they,
occurs?
they do. Um, I will say this is different, and from what I've seen, just because they usually use it as just the artwork, This one actually uses them as chapters where it says 2,
Oh,
tomb in space, 3, whatever. Like, so I did appreciate that a little bit more. Just so that way people kind of have like a headcanon of chapters in these comics. I did appreciate that. Um, but they go upon this destroyed shuttle, basically, this ship, and they quickly find out that it is a Nihil rated ship because
mhm.
very uh, formulaically for the Nihil, the big thing that they do when they take over a ship, they booby trap it with gas. We've known
Mhm.
this from all the novels that we have read. So, of course, they knew to take their rebreathers and they were scouring the ship to see if there's any survivors. Um, this is where we start to get some of the first hints of not something quite right with Skeeve. He
Skier.
is Skier, not
I
Skeeve.
keep saying
Jeez,
skeeve too.
Skier. Skier seems very on edge, very like not paranoid, but very annoyed. He's very short with everybody who talks to him. Uh, but to the big surprise is they see the crew of this ship completely
Yep.
slaughtered and gunned down, and one of them being a hut. I think that was kind of cool seeing a hut here. Now he's completely dead, tongue out and everything, holes blasted into him. But they are assuming, okay, what in fact killed him? Was it the gunfire? Was it this poison that I think Tarek found on his tongue? Like, what exactly was it?
Hmm.
But Skier uh, is moving on ahead, and another booby trap goes off and actually hits. I believe it was uh, Tarek. I believe it was. Yeah, it was Tarek that got hit. Now, the really interesting thing with these twins, they are connected not only by the Force, but in a very unique way to where if Saret is injured or if Tarek is injured, they feel each other's pain. They are
Yeah.
very closely connected. Um, so Saret is very like, oh my gosh, I think he's in trouble. We need to go find them. Uh, and so they try to find them, and this is when Skier kind of goes all out. He ignites his lightsaber. He cuts a Nihil soldier completely in half,
Yep.
which I like the effect that it did. And I love the visual medium of comics because you can get kind of
Yeah.
creative with anything that you do here. And because of the just overall function of a lightsaber doesn't just cut, it like burns and sears. So like you actually got like the smoke of this
Hmm.
individual coming off of his top part of the body. Very, very gruesome. And Skier is very, very like vicious with this attack. He does
Yeah.
not stop there.
And while you touched on the art, I just want to comment. So this volume and the entire Marvel comic line so far for the High Republic has been written by Kevin Scott. The penciler is Ario Anadito. The inker is Mark Morales. The color artist is Annalisa Leone. And the letter is VC's Ariana Maher. The cover art, which is the front of the volume, is by Phil Noto, and the timeline design is by Carlos Lau. So
Very cool.
just wanted to
Yes.
give them all credit. So
Yes. But this is
I'm really impressed with the art in this.
yeah,
So
I love the art in here. I feel like you can go many different ways with Star Wars art, especially with some of the more known Star Wars stories, of course, because they deal
mhm.
with Luke, Leia, Han, and all of that. And so you have to kind of draw them in a specific light because you know,
Yeah.
hey, these characters look like this. Um, and of course, when the High Republic came out, there was a little bit of like a profile of majority of the characters that we're going to be dealing with. But I still feel like some of these artists do kind of take uh, artist what is the term, artistic liberties with some of these things, and they
Yeah,
just did a great job with this book. I really enjoyed
absolutely.
it. uh but this is when they do contact Starlight Beacon. They talk to Avar Chris. um uh uh I might just call her by her last name.
Chris
No,
or
no, not
Prentice.
Chris. Uh, Trinus is a lot easier than Keeve. Trinus is kind of talking to Chris, like, and saying, like, "Hey, Skeeve has not been like the same since the attack. Like, there's just something off about him. Maybe we should keep a closer eye on him." Just kind of laying that seed in there because that is going to play a large part into the story, like later on in this volume. They do find out that the was it the poison or the grain? I can't remember exactly what it was that was on the ship specifically, that they found, like, oh, its origins are on this planet. So let's go see if there's any clues that we can find towards finding
I
the
think it was the
Nihil.
grain.
Okay. Because I think specifically it was so I think it was Sarah. He says, perhaps we can help with that, Marshall. According to what's left of the Navidroid, the ship was traveling from the Sindri system at the time of the attack. And they talk a little bit more about what exactly they were looking for. And so when they find out that information, Skeeve is very, or Skeeve, Seer is very uh, forcefully like, hey, I'm gonna go look for them, you stay here, talking
Yep.
to Trinus. And she's like, well, I mean, we can go together. Why do I have to stay here? What's going on? And
Yeah.
again, this is more towards the attitude of Skier, and him being very like, there's a lot of inner turmoil, and you very much see it in him being because I think at one point he's talking over the comms with Chris, and he's like, these murderous Nihil, they all deserve to die, or something like that. And Chris is like, you need to calm down. These are still living individuals, and as Jedi, we should not want to kill. And so he's like, oh
Yeah.
yes, I spoken out of turn, I'm sorry. So you see there is that inner turmoil there. um but once they get onto this planet, like, things are very shady, and not everything is right in on this planet.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about, like, the settings of this, and how they brought everything up, and kind of like the mystery surrounding what has been going on in this little colony that they found?
So I found it interesting, and we knew the Dringir were going to be a part of this because of what we've kind of read in the Rising Storm. That's why a lot of Jedi don't end up attending the Fair on Valo, is of because they're going after the Dringir. So for me, I found it interesting, and I just don't know. Like, I- and it makes me mad that I'm not keeping up with it because I'm just so interested in like where the story's going. But I think the like the planet kind of leads more towards what we kind of saw in the manga, especially where it's just like, oh, everything's just being kind of seeded, and then when the drinker come alive, they come alive.
Yeah.
So
I did feel like this part of the story was very like a small trope, in the sense of like, main character visits unknown village has problem, main character tries to solve problem. Like, it's very tropey, but it did work out in this mystery because of, like you said, we knew the Drengir were going to show up sometime in these comics. For them to show up so soon, I think works well with the way they have been releasing these books, because even us reading the manga, the main antagonist there was the Drengir. And it works so well with us reading this now, because even when the Drengir attack, we learn that there are distress calls all over
yeah,
Republic space that are asking for backup as well, which is really, really insane. But before we get there, we do find out that I think it's uh, Tarek who kind of goes off on his own. He
Yeah.
sees, I don't even know what he sees. From what I saw here, it looked like an individual. Oh, you know what? It actually looked like the little boy that went missing. Because
Yeah.
that's what it is. There is a a child that has gone missing, and that's kind of the big mystery that people overall in that village have been going missing. And there's like this, I don't even know how he got in charge. I feel like maybe it was just like a like, hey, I'm bigger, I'm tougher, like so you have to listen to what I say, and also the huts will protect us type of thing. So they were kind of forced into all this. But this guy comes up to all of the Jedi and is like, "Oh, we don't need any of y'all's help. Y'all need to get out of here. We're doing just fine. You know, we don't need any part of the Republic. Blah 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 blah."
Yeah.
And
And he doesn't catch it.
yeah, no, no, no. Skier does not catch it whatsoever. But of course, again, because Carrot, sorry, right, Sarret, sorry,
Sarret is the one who goes missing.
Sarret is or Tarek?
Sarret.
Okay, Sarret is the one that goes missing, while Tarek eventually feels his pain, feels that there is something wrong. So Trinus goes and tries to find any kind of clue as of what that will be. And she does come across this giant hole in the ground, while also finding this random kid that sneaks up on her and is just like, "Hey, you're a Jedi. Hey, you're so cool. Hey, do you have a lightsaber?" Like just how some kids are just super annoying, and I'm just like, "Kid, you're gonna get killed. Get out of here. What's wrong with you?" Um, but he is so bold, and I mean, it is very much like a child would do. He's just like, "Oh, well, there's a hole. Why not play in it?" And he just jumps in, while Trinus, has to stop him, has to save him, and going digging. She is finding it harder and harder to proceed forward because of how strong the dark side is, um, underneath this planet, um, and how
Yep.
strong this energy is, or whatever she can, sense. That's when they see the bodies, and that is when we see the Drengir.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Oh crap, what are we gonna do?" Chris comes in and saves them, but not really. And then that's when we see Skier.
Yeah.
This was quite possibly something that I did not expect, to be completely honest. Um, and he is a Trandoshan, correct? Is
Yes.
is is what it is. And this is kind of my problem. So Trandoshans, just looking at them, look scary.
Yes.
They look
Facts.
evil. So like seeing him as a Jedi, I was like, this is so cool. Like to see this species that probably would be stereotyped into being some sort of evil person or bad individual gets to be a Jedi. And then they immediately make him bad. Like I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that. Uh but the
So,
really oh go
and
ahead, go ahead.
in his defense, he lost his life partner. So,
Oh, that's true.
I think it was Dora Mali.
Yeah.
So he's still trying to come to terms with that, and he lost his arm. So I give him a little bit of credit, and from what I've seen in like later issues, like he gets his head back on straight. So, but yes, he is the big scary individual, and he's just going through a tough time.
He is going through a tough time, which I do appreciate his character development here, which by the way, Katie, spoilers, because the ending, I didn't know if he was going to live or die, but
I'm
now I
sorry.
do. Gosh. No, it's okay. Because
I mean,
I'm pretty sure we have heard and or read about him in the other novels. So it's not too
yeah,
far into believing that he would
Tempest
live
Runner
anyway.
takes place after this.
See, exactly. So the the big thing that I thought was really cool is the Drengir took over Skier's mind,
Mm-hmm.
and they gave him an arm. Now it's made out of all vines, but they gave him an arm.
Yep.
And because he is going through a hard time and he did lose his life partner, he lost his arm. I feel like Skier was trying to find an identity with like, oh, I'm the Trandoshan with no arm. I'm the Jedi Master with no arm. And he was probably getting way into his own head about this, which
Mm-hmm.
he does make the comments of him like feeling very weak-minded, which is why he was able to get taken over by the Drengir in the first place. But he captures Chris, Trinus, the little boy, and of course Sarret, who was already being captured.
And
Um,
he's got vines going in and out of his nose,
yeah, but
ears.
the really cool thing is like, oh well, I only did this to try to find their weakness, and like he takes like he cuts like the ground, or he cuts the vines. He uses the force to like crush them and everything, um, and they're able to get away. And it comes out to be this really really cool splash page of them all jumping toward like jumping into action, and them all like just taking out their lightsabers. I think this was like one of the coolest things in this book. You see Trinus with her double-sided lightsaber, which we eventually find out she can actually detach and use two
Okay, that
lightsabers.
was a question I had because, like, in here when she's got her lightsabers like attached to her, it's like, wait, hang on, where is it? In like the first issue, she's got her lightsabers like attached to her chest. This one, and she's like got
Okay, yeah,
both of
yeah, yeah.
them here. But then like you never see that again. And when she's like holding it and stuff, she's just got the one. Like it just is like the one together. So I wasn't sure.
I think it's really cool how the idea of the way you can kind of manipulate your own lightsabers, as far as like each individual Jedi is of course responsible in creating their own lightsaber, which means they will take
Mm-hmm.
liberties in making it personable to them. We have seen this before, of course, with uh Vernestra and her light
Mm-hmm.
whip, which we get to
Yes.
see in this volume, which I was so happy to see her light whip here.
And she
Um,
still hasn't told anyone.
yeah, still no. Um, but we know as fans of Star Wars that they will take liberties into making it a little bit more personable towards themselves. So maybe uh uh Trennis has it like, hey, it's easy, like it's probably more easily accessible to her if her
Mm-hmm.
lightsabers are right on her chest. Now,
Yeah.
I feel like it may be a bad choice in her doing that, because like if somebody else could use the force, they could very easily like just like force grip the lightsaber and like into their hand very easily because it's just wide in the open. But we've even seen, I believe, somebody else from the High Republic. I believe their name was uh who was the one with the white lightsabers in Light of the Jedi? Um
Orla.
yeah, Orla Jareni.
Yeah.
Yeah. So her lightsaber is
Is the
like,
flip one we see in the Rise of Skywalker.
exactly. It flips. So like a lot of different things can happen with lightsabers, and I think that's so cool that we are seeing all these different types, because
Mm-hmm.
there's also, I believe it's Boryaga and even Stellan Geos have like the hand guard on their
Yep.
lightsabers. So
Avar's got that too.
yeah, really really cool stuff. So we get that giant splash page of them having the jumping out, attacking the Drengir. And this is unfortunately where, like, who decides to show up? Another Hut. And
The Hutt.
she is just like, she's like, nah, I'm not having it. Like, my family is getting like killed, and this is my planet, and you're not gonna, take over my planet and blah blah blah. Excuse me. And so they start attacking the Jedi. So now the Jedi have to deal with both the Hutt and their cartel, as well as the Drengir. And
Mhm.
so I think this is hilarious. Chris is just like, you know what? Fine. This is your planet. Then you have to deal with its problems. We'll see you later. And the Hutt is like, wait, hold on. That's not very Jedi of you. Like, you're going to just leave us out here to die? Like, what is wrong with
Mhm.
you? And they're like, okay, well, if you want us to help, then you have to help us as well. Like, we have to fight this together. And
Yep.
while all this is going on over at Starlight Beacon, uh,
The
Vernestra,
hut was infected.
yes, Venestra and Emery are
Mhm.
with, I can't remember who, but they are looking over it's some scientist, because he's actually in like some sort of hazmat suit, is looking
It's the same
over,
guy I think from the Rising Storm, the one who works with the
oh, the
reporter person.
communications, right? uh oh,
Yeah.
no, you're right, that's exactly who it is. That's exactly who it is. But they are basically saying like, hey, like, there is some sort of infection that killed the Hut. It was not gunfire. It was not poison. It was this infection. Um,
Yeah.
and that's when Emery's like, "Oh, by the way, this dude's not dead." And they're like, "That's not true." And then boom, he just like get bursts into many different pieces because the Drengir just come flying out. And this is when we start to see that the Drengir all over Republic's space are attacking,
Yep.
and this is when we go out into all out war with the Drengir here. Um, and I loved all of this visually. It looked
Yeah.
really good. Um, but we have this very emotional conversation between Skier and oh my gosh, again, I am looking
Skier
at,
Kiev.
and Kiev, yes, Skier and Kiev. I'm looking at the name one more time. Trennis. Kiev Trennis. Kiev Trennis. That's the last time I'm going to look at this paper. Okay. So Trennis and Skier have this very heart to heart conversation. And we have seen kind of like, of course, the very beginning with their training. And then we even got a flashback earlier with Kiev kind of being like, hey, I trust my master. I trust him because he got
Mhm.
me. Like, he's had my back this entire time. Um, and so Skeev basically says, or Skier, sorry, says, like, I have a way to, like, not necessarily destroy the Drengir, but to trick them into us kind of winning this fight. But you're not gonna
Mhm.
like it. And we find out that Skeev, uh, Skier wants to get Kiev to mind touch him using the Force into, because technically, uh, Skier is technically connected to the Drengir now that he has this arm,
Yeah.
and
And
we,
he's been infected, so like he's trying to still maintain his mind over body because we see Tarek and Sarit, they're overcome by the Dringer and they're like, no meat is safe, like talking like the Dringer of all things.
yeah,
So
and we do get a little bit of back and forth between the twins as well. There's a moment where they actually save each other from a Rancor, which was really cool. Um,
mhm.
but Skier basically says, you need to use the Force to touch my mind to connect to all of the Drengir and basically trick them into thinking that everyone is poisonous meat, that you are all
Yep.
rotten, so they cannot feed on you. And she does it. She uses the mind touch, she uses the Force to send out that message, and all of the Drengir all over the place, not just on that planet, but on Starlight Beacon and everywhere else, get this message and they start to retreat. The Hutts, as well as Avar Chris, take this as an advantage and strike some of this Drengir down. Uh,
Yep.
but we are left on the cliffhanger that Katie ruined. Joking. Uh,
I'm
uh,
sorry.
with
We've already talked about Tempest Runner, y'all. You knew Skier was alive.
with Skier down and out for the count. With of course Veer. I was mendling both of their names together. Kiev, sorry.
And Skier.
Yeah, with Kiev like screaming, "Don't do this to me now! Like you're alive, stay alive. You know, come back to us." Um, so overall, this was a really good first volume. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it. I felt like all of the characters that we have already been introduced with um, in the novels stayed true to their characters, so there wasn't much of a disconnect with the High Republic at all, which I really do enjoy as far as like canonically wise. What about you?
I definitely would agree. And like we've talked about wanting to bring in other authors to kind of give different perspectives, but that really is the benefit with sticking with 5 authors, doing all of your storytelling. Calvin Scott is a true artist. So I love it. I can't wait to get my hands on the second volume, which think
Is it out
think
already?
this no, I think the second volume comes out December 7th. Let's look at my orders on Amazon. Because again, I'm lazy. Queen's Hope, Trail of Shadows,
It is the
volume.
Heart of the Drengir. Um,
Yes.
that is coming out December 7th, 2021.
Yes. So we
Very,
will
very
cover
nice.
that before the
Yes,
end of
we
the
will.
year, as long as it doesn't get delayed. Which High Republic Adventures Volume 1 is supposed to currently ship next week. I'll see how much that, or not next week, in 2 weeks.
Yes.
So it is supposed to ship, or is supposed to arrive, according to Amazon, the same day as Throne Ascendancy Lesser Evil. So we could probably read that though in a week, I feel
Oh
like.
yeah. Yeah.
So
I read all of this in 2 days, so should be no problem whatsoever.
yeah, but I really loved it. I can't wait to get my hands on volume 2, and then I'm going to keep up with this, like with reading other people's reviews about what happens or everything, and yeah. So
Yeah, it's been such a fun. Like we have thankfully the opportunity to be reading these whenever they
mhm.
come out monthly. But we have decided it's a lot easier to talk about these 5 issues at a
Yes.
time in a trade. Um, I am kind of like Katie. For me, I will look at a cover and just be like, "Oh, I wonder what's going on here." I guess I'll have to wait and see. I'm not looking too deep into spoilers right now because I think
Hmm.
with the High Republic, this is my first Star Wars series that I'm like really sticking to, especially as it like I'm getting to experience this as it's actually coming out. I think it's very, very fun. Um, so I am trying to avoid spoilers. And it's really hard, guys. Like we as connected as we are to just like pop culture and all of these fandoms that we are connected to, spoilers are freaking everywhere and it's crazy.
They are.
We were just joking around about media previews in our chat, and I'm just like, I feel like sometimes I need to turn those off overall, just not just in our chat, but overall on Twitter sometimes. So
Well, but I felt like I was going crazy having that happen on Twitter because a lot of the people I follow just go communicate in gifs and whatnot. And so I'm having to click on links to see everything. And even in the chat, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Why is this pig.twitter.com? I'm like, what? So
oh man. But of course, I think this is the end of the show. I think we covered almost everything in the news, if not everything. Of course, you can always find me at Fanboy Clay on Twitter. The link tree, of course, is going to be either in the show notes and, of course, always in my bio. You can find all the links to all of the shows that I host, that being DC Alliance, Batman News Weekly, Comic Book Legion Podcast, DC or Weird Science DC, Marvel, and manga, as well as the Ranger Alliance, and, of course, this show here, Star Wars Alliance.
Yes. You can find me. I'm on the Twitters as well. It's at Slice of Katie. This show is on Twitter as well. It's at Star Wars Alliance without the A and the wars. I just upgraded my phone, so I have to go find the username, or I have to go find the password for Star Wars Alliance again to get back on the Twitter account. But I will do that, I promise. So what are we talking about next week, Clay? What are we talking about? Are we talking about Disney? We have to figure out if we're talking about Disney Plus Day, or I think
gonna
we're going to talk about
decide
Attack
whether
of the
we
Clones.
are. Yeah, because from what Katie has put in our schedule, because I do have it, of course, right here. The schedule says that next week will either be, of course, the Disney Plus Day, depending on how things run on Thursday, or we will talk Attack of the Clones, which it has been since theaters that I have seen that movie. I have
I
not
love
gone.
that movie.
I
It's
have
one of my favorites.
I have not gone back to watch that movie. And I remember that movie in particular. I have been wanting to go back just to see badass Yoda fight Dooku. That was like the most hyped thing that I remember seeing in the trailers and like getting to see in theaters. But yeah, I haven't seen it since the theaters, so that'll be fun.
Yes. So we will either be talking about that or Disney Plus Day, depending on when it goes. I will try and let y'all know on the Twitter feed, like I said earlier. My other show, it's also on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Podcast Network. It is Slice of Film, and this month is Ghostbusters month. So this upcoming weekend, because I think I'm going to post the episode Saturday for the Eternals review. So Saturday will be Slice of Ghostbusters. The following Sunday will be Slice of Ghostbusters 2. And then the following Sunday, Slice of Ghostbusters 2016. And then finally, Slice of Ghostbusters Afterlife. So that's what we're talking about in November. And then in December, we're going to be talking, let's see, I got House of Gucci. We're finally going to publish the split episode that Clay recorded with me back in like July. Because I'm a slacker. Y'all, I'm lazy. I'm sorry. And then I've got, I said this already with Clay, but I'm going to talk about Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies. All by myself. Nobody has to join me for that.
Yeah, she's gonna talk all the slander, and she doesn't want everybody to be hating on her. That's why she's gonna do it by herself.
Hey, I'm writing my script and everything. Okay, y'all, this is gonna be good. I got evidence. This is why Snell brought me on here, is because I bring the evidence. And then finally, I've got a bunch of people coming on to just talk about their favorite Christmas movie, what it means to them, and kind of the tradition they have with it. So that is December. And then I'm planning for January, February, and March. So y'all, if you want to come talk about a movie, March is going to be Christopher Nolan Batman month to help celebrate Batman. So yeah, that's my plans. If you want to come talk about a movie with me, come do it. Let's do it. So yeah. But that brings us to a wonderful 2-hour conclusion. How did we go 2 hours, Clay?
I don't know. It is almost past my bedtime.
Yeah, mine too. So, y'all, I want to thank everyone who's been here tonight. We had a lot of good conversations in the chat, so I appreciate all of y'all. But if you're tuning in later, I appreciate you too, because you're listening, and that matters. So I want to wish everyone a great day or night, whatever time of day you're listening or watching. And we'll see y'all next time. May the force be with you.
See ya.